nothing short of incredible. We went to Athens, Greece. We went to several Greek islands, including Rhodes, which I dearly loved. Rhodes was amazing. We went to Israel. We went to Bethlehem. We went to Pompeii. We went to Rome. We just literally, of course, we went to Egypt, to Giza, to the pyramids, and the Sphinx. And it was the trip of a lifetime. There is no question about it. Now, what can I tell you about my trip to Egypt? I met with Zahi Hawass, who is the director of antiquities and takes care of the pyramid and the Sphinx and everything in that part of Egypt, and I received carte blanche to go anywhere I wanted. As a matter of fact, I had a personally conducted 2-hour tour from Zahi Hawass himself, and then he signed a legal paper, handed it to one of his aides after the 2 hours, and said, "This is carte blanche for you to go anywhere you want. You are barred from absolutely nothing." So, that's exactly what I did. Now, I have some amazing stories to tell you about Giza. And I've got some amazing photographs to share with you. I got to the Vatican, by the way. Saw the Pope. Talk about lucky. Walked into the Vatican walls, and here are all these people gathered. And naturally, we ask immediately, what are all these people doing out here? And somebody said, well, you know, the Pope's coming out in 5 minutes. And I said, what? What? We just walk in, and the Pope's coming out in 5 minutes? Sure enough, 5 minutes later, here is the Pope. And I've got several wonderful pictures of the Pope. One of them on the website right now. As a matter of fact, during this comprehensive trip that I just took, I took, I believe, 26 rolls of film. 26 rolls. Of that number, as a matter of fact, got them developed overseas so I could have them immediately on my return and scan them and get them up on my website. And that's exactly where they are, not 200 or 400 or whatever, but about 42 hand-picked photographs, ones I liked, I have now put on my website. It encompasses actually 7 pages of photographs on the website. Some pretty astounding stuff, I would say, beginning with, of course, getting on the ship, that sort of thing, you know, the normal kind of picture that you would have when you begin a cruise, welcome aboard, that kind of thing, so I stuck that on there. And then you will see a picture of me with Zahi Hawass, Director of Antiquities, in his office at the beginning of this tour. And then the tour itself with Zahi Hawass. I have videotape of what I am about to describe as well, because it is, and it's astounding. Now, how I can get you the videotape, I don't know. One of the first things Dr. Hawass did was to take me to a location where they had this giant, several-ton limestone square rock. And he said, Art, I'm going to show you how they created the blocks that built the pyramid. And here's this one guy with a sledgehammer. And I said, come on. Mentally, I said, come on. There's no way in hell this guy is going to break this block. You know, you're talking about several tons of limestone there. And Zahi said, go ahead. And so this fellow begins, he takes a sledgehammer, and he begins slamming it on this gigantic limestone rock. Oh, I'm videotaping, you know, all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way on God's green earth, or even, the earth, the sand that we have here at Giza, right by the pyramids, there's no way this rock is going to break. And so for about a minute, he went boom, boom, boom on this giant rock. And I'm sort of internally laughing. I'm still videotaping. After about a minute, I said, and I almost stopped videotaping. And he picked the because he paused, he put the sledgehammer down like, hey, I'm getting tired of this. And I thought, of course he is. He's never going to break that rock. And so I almost stopped videotaping. Thank God I didn't, because he picked the sledgehammer back up, whacked this gigantic thing one more time, and I'll be damned if it didn't break before my very eyes, literally break exactly in half. And Zahi then did quite an extensive, you see, Art, this is how the pyramids were built. And he went into quite a long explanation about it all, and I've got that on videotape. Now, on the website, I've got a photograph of the block just like 2 seconds after it broke. Of course, I had a 35-millimeter camera with me to try to get some good high-resolution photographs, and I did. And so in the still photograph, you will simply see the guy standing there with a sledge and this rock in half. Now, of course, on videotape, I've got the actual breaking of the rock, but that, Zahi says, is exactly how the pyramids were constructed. It was an astounding, mind-blowing, mind-expanding moment. Because, of course, nobody really knows how the pyramids were built, but there's more, and I'll get to that in a moment. We then went up into the Great Pyramid, the King's Chamber. Now, I will tell you this. Making one's way from the base of the pyramid at the entrance to the sarcophagus room, the room where the large sarcophagus is a wonderful test. I have now determined I'm going to live for several more years. How do I know that? I know that because if I was going to have a heart attack and or die from strain or stress or exercise, I would be a dead man now. Walking up this a wooden stepped thing from the base of the pyramid to where the sarcophagus is probably, and you've got to do it all scrunched over, bent over. It's probably one of the most stressful things a human being could ever do in their entire life. At least that's the way I looked at it. But I got up there. By gosh, I got up there. Now, let me tell you, this is one place where the two faces of Dr. Hawass are apparent. Now, bear in mind, I met with Dr. Hawass, glad hand me. He seemed to be a truly wonderful, warm man. And we had a great time in his office and everything, but he led the way up to the King's Chamber. Dr. Hawass personally did that. It was right in front of me. Now, after Dr. Hawass was all smiles and said, you have got carte blanche to go anywhere here at Giza. I'm going to sign a paper. And that was the kind, gentle, politically correct, we've got nothing to hide, Dr. Hawass. When we were going up to the King's Chamber, Dr. Hawass was directly in front of me. Dr. Hawass, and I've got this on videotape, he doesn't know that, I guess also hot and stressed and angry with the people that were in line to get, there was a line to go up into the chamber. And he got very upset with this group of people in front of us, and he was yelling, actually. I've got it on tape. I don't know that he knows that, but I do, saying, I'm Dr. Zahi Hawass. Don't you know who I am? Move, go, go. And he was literally just angry with the tourists and shoving them, urging them out of the way. So that was the other Dr. Zahi Hawass, who has quite a temper, I must say. Not ever aimed toward me, but at that critical or stressful moment, aimed at those in front of him. It was something to behold. So there are two Dr. Hawasses, one very nice, one who suggests that there is nothing closed to my eyes, that I may go anywhere at Giza, no restriction whatsoever, see anything I want. And we did see a lot. For example, we saw the famous well midway on the causeway. As a matter of fact, before I leave the large pyramid, you will see a photograph of the sarcophagus in the king's chamber. That's up there. And then you will see another photograph of the sarcophagus with none other than myself lying in there like a dead pharaoh. I couldn't resist. I jumped right in. Now, nobody else from my party wanted to jump right in. But me. So I jumped into the sarcophagus. And I will tell you this. There is an extremely, extremely strange vibration and resonance to your voice when you lie in the sarcophagus in the middle of the king's chamber. There is no question about this fact. It's not a, gee, what a little sensation, or gee, I wonder if I really feel this, or gee, what a psychologically intriguing moment. I think that I'm feeling something special. This was real. And when you speak from that sarcophagus, there is a resonance, a frequency that you feel, a vibration, which I have never felt anywhere before in my life. A deep, vibrant return is the way that I would describe it. One that I have never in my life heard before. And that's the only way I can think to describe that to you. And I'm really doing my best here to describe to you what I felt, but I lay in that sarcophagus and I spoke. And I spoke and I spoke. And I listened to this unusual resonance that was returning to me. And I don't know that I really have words to describe what I felt. But it was not some vague, psychological, psyched up feeling that was coming back to me, because I'm very objective about these kinds of things. The only way I can think to tell you is, there was a deep resonance that returned to me. Every word I spoke, every utterance that I made, returned to me with some sort of deep, very, very hard to describe resonance that, in effect, bounced back to me. This is not doing it sufficient justice, and I'm going to have to think about how to describe it to you properly, but lying in that sarcophagus was a very, very, very unusual experience indeed. We then went on to the well. There is in the causeway, about midway on the causeway at Giza, there is an iron gate, and behind it a well, the beginning of a well, a stair step that goes down about 100 feet, and then again another 25 feet down to water and a fake sarcophagus. And we've done a program on that, so I wanted to see it. Sure enough, Zahi Hawass, without second thought, took me there, and you will see a photograph on my website of that well. And you will then see some of Zahi Hawass's people prying this door open, which had not been opened in quite some time. And as a matter of fact, of course, it was very dark down there, so we couldn't get pictures further down. But you will see a picture of me, like a dummy, holding on to one ladder with one hand, the ladder with one hand, and sort of posing for all of you, or whoever was, I think it was Ramona who took that photograph. And so I, just like an idiot, held on with one arm and waved at you all in the photograph in the other. You'll see that. I got to go there. I got to go to the side of the Sphinx. And I got to see the dig they're doing into the side of the Sphinx, which Zahi claims it has yielded nothing thus far. Then I got to do something which I'm going to tell you about that you don't know about, and I probably should not tell you about because I'm probably going to get in trouble for it. I was told not to take photographs of what I was seeing. However, unfortunately for the fellow who told me not to take photographs, I had already taken 2 still photographs. And I was in the process of taking video when he tapped me on the shoulder and said, "I'm sorry, Dr. Hawass said you cannot take photographs here." Well, once a shutter has clicked, folks, it's a little late. So I did get 2 still photographs of what I'm about to tell you about in a moment, and a little bit of video before I got the tap on the shoulder. And I agonized a little bit over it, but I have put it up on the web. In a moment, I'll tell you all about it. All right, so here we go. As I said, I took a couple of photographs I should not have taken. But to be absolutely honest with you, I took them before the fellow told me no photographs. And the fellow was Zahi Hawass's assistant. And now, the area they took me to, the public doesn't know about yet. But they will, because I'm going to tell you now. He took me to something they'd been excavating for about a year. There are, on a hill, quite some distance from the pyramids. As a matter of fact, you can just see the tip of one pyramid barely over this hill in the photograph. It's that far. You have to drive to it at Giza. And they took me over this hill, and lo and behold, here are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of graves, sarcophagus, buried people. Now, who do you think these people might be? Well, I'll tell you. According to Dr. Hawass, this is the burial ground for the people who built the pyramids. And I think there can be no doubt about it. Hundreds, thousands of burial spots of people who built the pyramids. Now, how do we know they built the pyramids? Well, because these people had hieroglyphic inscriptions written on the tombs, just the way you would find in the Great Pyramid itself. As a matter of fact, these are pristine, beautiful hieroglyphics showing how the pyramids were built, the various jobs the people buried in these sarcophagi did when they were alive, the dedication, just as the pharaohs did with the pyramids, to their families, their wives, their daughters. And here it was laid out in front of me. So these are the people that built the pyramids. You'll see that photograph in there. Now, again, I wasn't supposed to take it, and I don't think it's supposed to be public knowledge. But there you have it, the people that built the pyramids. They've got their own burial ground. However, nobody still knows how they were built. Everybody's tried to duplicate it. The Japanese tried and couldn't do it. But this is nevertheless revolutionary information that here lie the people who actually built the pyramids. And you will see that photograph as one of the ones that I've got up there. As a matter of fact, I think it says here is an out-of-the-way, not generally available for public viewing, area where workers who constructed the pyramids are buried. So you'll see that on my website. Absolutely astounding. And you'll see a lot of very, very good photographs. I was fortunate to have a very good, high-quality 35mm camera with me, and then, of course, I've got a very good scanner, a nice Hewlett-Packard high-res scanner, so I was able to give you quite a few very, very good photographs. And I was able to walk right up to the Sphinx and put my hand on it and look around it, look at the digs on the side of it and all the rest of it. But I want to say this to you about Dr. Hawass. Do I believe everything that he told me? Yes, I do. Do I believe that he told me everything? No, I don't. Do I believe that if Dr. Hawass had a secret or had located something that he did not want me to know about, that I would somehow magically know about it, spending a day in Giza? The answer is hell no. Now, I had carte blanche to go see anything I wanted, but Giza's a pretty big area, and there is no way that I could possibly have gone to some location that I did not have prior knowledge about. Not in one day, not in 1 week, probably not in 1 month of exploration around Giza. So if there was something he didn't want me to know about, would I know about it? Oh, of course not. Do I consider it possible Dr. Hawass would hide something? Yes, of course I do. I'll tell you what I'll do. Tomorrow, if I get the time, I will dub some of the audio with Dr. Hawass off the videotape I have, and you can hear some of what I've been talking about for yourself. I think that's probably the best way to do it. In the meantime, I would suggest you enjoy the photographs that I've got up on the website, and they are not just of Giza, but of course many of them are because of my intense interest in Giza. But you will see photographs of, I'll tell you a strange one. You'll see a photograph taken in the Vatican. As a matter of fact, the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican of my wife Ramona pointing at a globe, in a gigantic globe of the world. This is really strange, but seeing is believing. A gigantic globe of the world with all the signs of the zodiac on it. Now, I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what would a globe with the signs of the zodiac be doing in the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican in Rome? What would that be doing there? Well, you know what I've got? I've got a photograph of my wife pointing her finger at the Libra inscription on the globe, which of course is her birth sign, her birth symbol, and she's pointing right at it. Now, maybe some of you can tell me, because I surely don't understand why the Vatican would have, particularly in the Sistine Chapel, something with the signs of the zodiac. I thought I was losing my mind, but I've got the photograph to prove it. Then I did two other things. I went to Bethlehem and Jerusalem. And I'm going to tell you that in Bethlehem, which is controlled by the Palestinians, by the way, you'll see a picture of Yasser Arafat about 100 yards from the birthplace of Christ. They have the exact place in Bethlehem where Christ was born. I was there, and I touched it. And then I went to Jerusalem, and I got to touch the exact place where Christ died. The final phase of the crucifixion of Christ. And I went to the exact place where he died. My wife had her own very strong reaction to that. And I had a very strong reaction to that as well. You hear about the life of Christ all your life in Sunday school, through whatever church you attend and whatever reading of the Bible that you have done. But to be there is an experience that I would like to recommend to all of you who are able to make it. It is indeed a very, very, very sobering experience. To actually see it produces emotions that are hard to describe. It's sort of like, and this will annoy a lot of people to use this analogy, and it's not really a good one, but it's like walking out into the real world and running into Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You follow me? In other words, something that you always imagined possibly as being mythical or partially mythical. Suddenly there it is staring you in the face. The place where Christ was born, the exact place where he was born, the exact place where he died. And so I've got photographs of both of those. Very good high-res photographs. Those are on the website. You're not going to want to miss them. Then, of course, I got to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. You'll see quite a number of photographs, at least 3 at the Wailing Wall. So there's so very much that I could tell you about this trip. It was an amazing trip. I can tell you this, when I got home, I just about kissed the ground that our wonderful country is on. Boy, was I glad to be back. 18 days away is a long time. 18 days away from this program, away from what I do, away from my home, away from my cats. Was too much, and I was really glad to be back home. Anyway, then you will see we went to Pompeii as well. Overshadowed, of course, by the ever-present Mount Vesuvius, which at one time buried the occupants and the city of Pompeii in ash. And they had to dig it out. I've got pictures of, for example, a guy who was buried in Pompeii. And I've got photographs. Go up there and take a look. You'll see photographs of me with the ruins. You'll see Mount Vesuvius in the background. Then, of course, we got to go to the Greek islands. You'll see us on Rhodes. As a matter of fact, you'll see a photograph of Ramona and myself right at the point where the Aegean Sea and the Mediterranean Sea come together. We went to Rome. You'll see photographs in the Colosseum. Now, there's a kind of a cool story. Let me tell you the story about the Colosseum. As you know, we went with Bob and Sue Crane, one of the sponsors of this radio program. And when we got to the Colosseum, we had been to the Vatican in the morning, and so it was later, it was in the afternoon, and the Colosseum was closed. Closed. The Colosseum was closed. The gates were locked, and the Colosseum was closed. It was after hours. So, then how did I get photographs inside the Colosseum? You might ask. Well, good old Bob Crane, ever adventuresome Bob Crane, walked up to one of the gates. I mean, there's hundreds of people out there. Colosseum's just about empty inside. Hundreds outside wanting to get in. So Bob Crane walked up to one of the gates, these large metal gates. And like the convict escaping from jail, reaches around the gate, finds a latch that he somehow managed to undo, and he let Ramona and myself into the Colosseum. And what I did was I strolled into the Colosseum like I belonged there. And there were some officials standing around, and I imagine they looked at me, but I looked like I belonged doing what I was doing, so they left me alone. And so Ramona and myself went up to the top of the Colosseum and took some photographs. And the Colosseum was virtually empty. It was wild. It was bizarre. You know, the Colosseum where they had the gladiators fighting and all the rest of that in Rome. That's what I'm talking about. And here we were in this empty Colosseum with hundreds, if not thousands, of people outside, and we snuck in. We crashed their gates. So I thought I was probably going to get thrown in jail, or Bob was going to get thrown in jail, but we did it anyway, and you will see those photographs up on the website. So I've scanned all of these, and I brought them back. You'll see photographs of Greece, and oh yes, there are, I think, there's a grand total of, I don't know, about 42 photographs up there. I always photograph the local female population because, or at least a few photographs whenever I go on vacation. And there was one Grecian goddess that I ran into. Oh my God, what a beautiful woman she is, girl, child, whatever. And I ran into her on the island of Rhodes, a Greek island, and I went, wow, this is one beautiful girl. And so I took a photograph of her, and that is up there. And as a matter of fact, she was sitting in a shoe store on the island of Rhodes when I happened to get photographed. So enjoy that one. She is surely a beauty. I mean, she is really a beauty. And you let me know what you think. But in my world, this one's a 10. No question about it. This one's a 10. And then you will see various photographs of the Vatican. So anyway, there you have it. In a 1-hour encapsulation, my trip to the Middle East and associated areas. By the way, one of the nights we were at sea, we experienced just about 30-foot swells, 30-foot waves, high winds, tremendous winds, about 60 miles an hour up on the bridge, and 30-foot waves. And I said, I mean, here's the whole ship is empty, and everybody's in the room getting violently ill because the ship, even though it's a big one, in 30-foot waves, this guy's going back and forth. There is no question about it. We're rocking and rolling. Now, I don't get seasick. I don't get seasick. So I thought it was cool. And I said, come on, let's go up to the very top deck of the ship, which is like going to the top of a skyscraper, in the middle of this storm, up to where the radar is turning around, you know, way up to the very topmost part of the ship. And I said, come on, let's go up there. And we did. Bob Crane, Sue Crane, myself, Ramona, we all went up there. And here, there's a good 60-mile-an-hour wind blowing at us. This was the same night we passed an active volcano, incidentally. And we can barely stand. You can't stand. As a matter of fact, if you stand, you literally blow across this top deck. So you have to crawl. And we crawled all the way to the edge and looked over the edge at the ocean and stood up there for a while. And it was amazing. The girl's hair was going straight out. And the wind caught my glasses and whipped, naturally the only ones I had along, right, and whipped my glasses, I thought, into the briny deep. In other words, whoosh, they were just ripped right off my face. And I thought, great, I'm going to be on the rest of the cruise not being able to see properly. Dynamite, huh? Well, we found them. Fortunately, they caught on the deck before they blew over. You know, there was a little ridge there, and they caught there, thank goodness, so I got them back. All in all, it was an incredible vacation. That gives you some sense of it. If you go to my website and take a look, you'll get a much better sense of it. As I said, 42 photographs. So there it was, folks, this year's vacation. When I was in Egypt, I first met with Dr. Zahi Hawass. Dr. Hawass is the Director of Antiquities at Giza. In other words, he maintains and is in charge of the research, the archaeology that goes on, the digging, such as it is, around the Sphinx, the Great Pyramids, and all of the associated relics and things at Giza, which is an incredible, incredible place. Now, I'm going to let you hear a couple of things. It's really a shame And I only very occasionally wish I had television because I have video to go with what you're about to hear. What I did was dub the following down from my video camcorder. So let me sort of give you an idea of what you're going to hear. The first is, yesterday, you may recall, I told you there was a 5-ton piece of granite that I saw one man with a sledgehammer break very precisely in half. I mean, it was unbelievable. The guy took a sledgehammer and went to work on a 5-ton piece of granite, pure granite, and split that sucker right in half like he had, like a knife going through butter. It was amazing. Now, I've got the audio from that, and then Zahi comments afterwards. You're going to have to listen very carefully. But here is just a few days ago in Egypt. Here's a man going to work on a 5-ton piece of granite. Listen carefully to the following. Oh my gosh. He's pounding away on that granite. I didn't think he was going to do it. He's getting ready to split that. Then you'll hear Zahi Hawass.
Wow. That's exactly what I want to show to you.
Wow.
People always say how the Egyptians can cut stones.
Yes.
That's exactly what they just are, the descendants of the ancient Egyptians. And this is why I tell people, if you want to understand how this pyramid was built, come to me, and I will show you how it's built. This man cut
That's absolutely incredible.
5 tons in a stone in 2 minutes. How they hold it? We have the same method of the ancient Egyptians to move the stone. And it's we have many things to do with.
All right, there was the first segment I wanted to play you. Now, obviously, the video attendant with that audio shows this guy with a sledgehammer splitting precisely down the middle a 5-ton piece of granite. One man, 5 tons, 2 minutes. It was a mind blower, and you should see the video. The rock simply parts in the middle, and it was a total mind blower. Now, what I'm going to play for you when we come back from the break is the actual trek that we were making up the Great Pyramid. Now, what I am going to play for you, you're going to have to listen very carefully because it was a noisy environment. I went up inside the Great Pyramid, going up to the King's Chamber where the sarcophagus is, the one I actually laid down in. That's a whole other story. But on the way up, it's a very long, hot, difficult trek with a lot of people. Zahi Hawass, the director of Antiquities at Giza, was directly ahead of me. And I don't think he knew that I had the camcorder running. Now, I was huffing and puffing, and you will hear me very much out of breath, along with everybody else that was making the climb. But Zahi is directly in front of me. And Zahi, when I first met him, of course, was a extremely cordial, extremely seemingly open man, a very even-tempered man, I might add, very even-tempered. You know, when I was in his office, it was all smiles, and he was just glad-handing me and seemed to be a very, very nice man. But I had the camcorder running as we were making the climb up inside the Great Pyramid to the King's Chamber, and you will hear Zahi, if you listen very carefully, you will hear him saying things to the tourists that were in front of us, like, I am the director of antiquities here. I'm the director of this whole place. Move, move. So listen very carefully and see if you're able to hear that. It comes now. This is, again, as we were climbing the Great Pyramid.
I'm the director of this fire. I need everyone to take a side, align, and go. No, go. Let me go. Let's go. You're not alone. You have to get the right side. I'm the director of this place. Everyone has to get right and go out. Come on. You're not alone. Good. Good. Go.
Well, anyway, that was it. That was Zahi directly in front of me, and you could hear me huffing and puffing. That was a real, a very serious climb. But as Zahi climbed in front of me, he was getting very annoyed with the people in front of him. So I thought I would play that little audio clip. And here is one more. This particular clip, again with everybody huffing and puffing as we were marching all over the place, is right at the side of the Sphinx. At the side of the Sphinx, there is a large hole which has gone down X number of meters that Baval and Hancock, in fact, you will hear Zahi mention Baval and Hancock, who think that Zahi is hiding something. And he mentions Baval and Hancock and disclaims, says there's absolutely nothing down here. So here's that audio clip.
By Monsieur Benet during the restoration of the Sphinx. And I have a slide and a photograph showing people inside the Sphinx. Then about a few months ago, a year ago, I announced that we're going to open the shop. Then Hancock and Buffa and just those everywhere, don't let him to open because we're going to find something and we'll hide it. There's nothing there because it has been opened before. It was intact.
And you will not hide it, huh?
No. How? How would I hide it? And why would I hide it?
They think maybe you'll sneak it out in the middle of the night, but you won't, won't you?
Why? Give me one reason. Why, if you discover something here, you'll hide it. If you discover something here, all your gold is in there. No. What they say doesn't make any sense. Oh, why do you hide it? Why? It would be something to the whole world. Yeah. If there is no reason. Your purpose is here is to expose it to the world. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
What do you think might be down there?
In my opinion,
your opinion,
the mystery has nothing. But it's better to see the people that we hope that something can be discovered. It's better to give the people hope.
Could be true.
The people need hope. But in my opinion, for someone who I studied every piece of sand in this area, I know there is nothing in this except archaeology. This is what we do. There is no one single artifact or a piece of sand has been found in the plateau to prove the existence of Atlantis. Nothing.
That's true.
Of Atlantis.
All the discoveries that you will see up from this moment to the end of your trip, it is something that we recover every day. Yeah.
All right, well, there you were. That was Zahi at the side of the Sphinx, suggesting there had been nothing found, and certainly nothing found to prove the existence of Atlantis, and he made reference to Baval and Hancock. So I've got many, many more like that, but I will not play them for you now. I just wanted to give you a kind of a taste of what the sound was like. And, of course, I have a videotape, and I have video to go with all of this, and it makes a lot more sense when you're able to see the video, and this is the one time I wish this was TV and not radio. I've got a lot of very good and interesting video. East of the Rockies.
Well, hello there, everybody. This is Art Bell, and I am speaking to you from Giza in Egypt live. It's about 9:35 in the morning here. The sky is blue, and Zahi Hawass is with me. We're talking on a Magellan satellite phone And I think that this is the first time in history there has ever been a live broadcast from Giza. So I'm very honored to be doing this. And we've been watching the digging going on, and we just watched Zahi Hawass, Dr. Hawass just showed us how one man working alone was able to break a block in, I would guess, about 4 minutes. And I've got some video of that, which I will bring back with me. It is the most amazing thing you ever saw. So we have come from Athens, Greece, now to where we are at the base of the Great Pyramid. And as I said, I'm with Zahi Hawass. I wanted to say hello to my American audience and tell them what we're up to. This is amazing technology. The telephone that I'm speaking to you on is made by Magellan, and it's about the size of a regular telephone or maybe a laptop computer. So we are in the middle of some of the oldest objects in the entire world, using some of the newest technology in the entire world. And I would like to let Zahi Hawass, Dr. Hawass, say hello to my American audience. So here is Dr. Hawass.
Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to have Artman with me here today. And I'm taking him by myself, who is going to enter inside the Great Pyramid and is going to see with me all the discoveries that we made around the pyramids. And I'm very glad that we'll go back to all of you and tell you what we are doing here. We are guarding these monuments. And we are want to be sure that everything is safe. The Sphinx and the Great Pyramid is safe, because we always believe that this does not belong to Egypt only, but belongs to everyone. I'm glad to talk to all of you. Goodbye.
Okay, there was Zahi Hawass, and we are now going to proceed to the Great Pyramid. And if the audio was good enough, you'd be able to hear the clicks of the hooves of the camels that are right behind me. So from a place where it's daylight and very ancient to the great land where I live, I would wish you all, I guess from the very high desert, a good morning and a good morning to all, and a good night.
Wow. That was really cool. That was a phone call. There was a little, digital blurbing there. But as far as I know, that was the first live broadcast from the base of a pyramid at Giza, Egypt. Wasn't that something? Oh, yeah. We even used that phone out in the middle of the ocean. So there it was. What a trip that was. Now, if you want to see photographs of some of what I just described and of the rest of the trip, we've got some good high-res photos on the website right now. Go take a look at www.artbell.com. In the meantime, we're talking about cloning again.